Hi guys, today we're in Turin at the Centro Stile Alfa Romeo and we're meeting Daniel Guzzafame, who's going to talk to us a bit about the new Junior.
Ciao, ciao. Welcome here in Italy. The Junior is the entry gate, so the welcome is the right word. It's a vehicle that will welcome all of those older Alfisti that were waiting since years, from Mito, from Giulietta, but of course all of the new generation as well. It's a car that fits very well as a first car for young guys, young couples, of course for young families. So that's exactly the spirit that we want. Of course in red, rosso, that is the passion that drives us, and everything in the car symbolizes that passion. Italy, we are here. The car has been designed, developed in Italy, and of course sportività, sportiness, and that is very well symbolized by the Veloce, with 20 inches, the large track, the lower aspect, everything, of course, tuned to be the most fun car to drive in the segment, which is what we wanted to do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not going to drive it today. We'll have the chance later on, sometimes, yeah. But that's the thing with Alfas, that every time a new Alfa comes up, there are high expectations.
But of course, that's our job and our passion, by the way. Everybody here is an Alfista, and of course, we all want to deliver only the best. And the best, what I mean is the best balance, because that is the secret of any Alfa Romeo. There is nothing that is there without a meaning, always functionality, it's beauty with functionality, and there is always the strive for the best balance. Yeah, driving dynamics 360 degrees, the right power, the right steering feel, the right handling, the right comfort.
That's actually a good point. This car has to strike a good balance in many areas. Many people, you know yourself, on the internet are complaining about this, that and the other one. But this car, for what it's supposed to be, has to strike the balance and it has to be good in many particular areas that maybe go one against each other.
But of course, it's part of the receipt and part of where this car will play. In this segment, you want to have the right flexibility to use the car. Of course, maybe during your free time as a fun car to drive, but at the same, you want to go to the race in the supermarket, or to drive your kids at school, or to the gym, or to whatever. And so you need the right balance between the fun, the interior that is really welcoming you, because it's an interior that doesn't push you out. It's an interior that welcomes you in. And once you're in, everything is in every Alfa Romeo is at the right place. Absolutely. So all of the buttons, steering wheel, the angle of the radio, which is almost forcefully a little inclined toward the driver, but it's part of this environment where you are perfectly at ease. And of course on the Veloce, the fantastic seat that we have developed with Sub. But then when you move to the back, you want to have the right space for the rear passengers, and you want to have the right trunk space. So 400 liters in this category is pretty much relevant.
It's a record.
It's a record almost, yes. Yeah. And that is given back to the point of nothing is there without a meaning. It's the truncated tail, the coda tronca concept. And that of course is a very clear, defined style hint. But on the other side, it's very functional for aerodynamics, because the flow is cut in a very precise way, so very efficient. And on the other side, the shape of course allows to have a very good space inside the trunk. Balance is really getting at the right place. All of that with the shape of the car itself that has been designed to give the right stiffness to the body, which is one of the characteristics that typically on the cars is lost, because nobody really cares about that, but it's fundamental to have a body that speaks to what you have on your legs. On the wheels, the suspension, the chassis, which is rigid and has been stiffened enough, but of course what is above that must speak the same language.
Exactly, to be proportionate.
Yes, proportion and consistent. Yeah. And that is the real secret of this car. As you said, is it what a Spider would be? No, absolutely. That is not the role of this car. The role is that of welcoming all of the regular people, those who will not use the car on test track during weekends.
A new generation of Alfisti, or of customers with the hope of transforming them into Alfisti.
Yes, and this is, you will see with Alejandro as well, the new language of the design that, of course, speaks something new, very consistent with the rest. So it's a very well-balanced mix of heritage elements, of DNA responsibility that is what we want to deliver, and of course, something that looks into the future. Because of course, we are working for the future of the brand, the present and the future, not just to revamp the fantastic, glorious, and incredible driving responsibility.
History is glorious and it's nice, but we're not living in, in history.
And we all love it. I mean, there is no other brand like Alfa Romeo. There is no brand that can be, let's say, playing its role on a 30,000 euro car like the Junior, and at the same time on millions like E33 Stradale.
Absolutely.
It's the only brand in the world that can do that. It's the only brand in the world who have a word to define its tribe, the Alfisti. No other car brand have a tribe. It's the only brand in the world who was the mother of Ferrari. So we have a fantastic heritage, but of course that is important as long as you are capable of renovating and making it relevant today and tomorrow.
Let's talk a bit about what lies beneath the skin of this Bestione. It's a shared platform. That's no way of hiding that.
But there is no also
good
no
about
need. Yeah, of course. Also, the definition of the platform is something that I always want to be very precise with, because at the end, the platform is the base, which is the two rails that are used for the crash test. But everything around, the moment you start changing the steering, the suspension, the rigidity of the floor, because you're changing the rear floor, for instance, then everything behaves completely different. And that is exactly what we did on the Milano.
Junior. I have friends that are calling it Milano to this day.
Of course.
Maybe it's going to be a strange case that is going to go into popular culture with two
For sure,
names.
it will come.
What about pronunciation, by the way? I like to call it Junior, because I think of Juventus. Junior is a bit...
Junior is English way.
It's an English way of...
Junior is the original word, is Latin, it's where the word comes from, so...
I myself, because I'm in love with all things Italian, I like, from the beginning, I saw it Junior, but people are calling it indeed Junior.
Yeah, it's just because the Junior is the way that we were calling the previous Alfa Romeo Junior.
Okay.
But you're absolutely
like
the first one was the GTA or the Giulietta Junior.
Okay.
So that's 1750 Junior.
Well, since Alphas are deeply personal and affecting things, anyone can call it the way he wants, and I'll call it Junior.
It is coming from your heart. That's at the end what matters.
A bit more Italian,
And Junior is exactly where it comes from. Is the origin of the name. It's a Latin word, so it fits perfectly.
So we were talking earlier about the platform and the way it has been developed and transformed and adjusted to Alfa's needs.
Absolutely, because at the end, what defines a platform, I always want to be very, very clear on that. There are the two rails, which are what is used for the crashes, and those are the common parts. Everything else, if you assemble on it a different steering, a different suspension, a different stiffness of the floor because you are changing the floor, then the behavior is completely different. And this is exactly what we did on the Junior or Junior, which is working on all of the parts that go into the car to make it be really an Alfa Romeo. And that was the target from the very beginning. We selected the package and we selected what we wanted to have to be consistent. So you see the Emerge track with the 20 inches wheels, but that is what you see from the outside. It starts all from the steering with a specific steering rack, the best steering ratio of the category, 14.6. We go down to the suspension that were made stiffer, with of course specific rods and bushing and anti-roll bars, and the torsion mechanical differential, so that the car is behaving in a very precise way. The input to the steering is precise, the behavior and the transfer of the motion to the wheels is very precise, and of course the 20 inches wheels with the specific tires are following exactly where it goes. From the moment that you get into the curve, then you need the rigidity, the stiffness of the chassis and of the body, because everything needs to follow in a consistent way, as we were saying before. What we want to have always is that feeling of like when you're skiing, carving, or on a motorbike, you look in one direction and the car goes in that direction. That is the feeling that we want to have, sort of a go-kart, if you want.
Yes, the go-kart feeling has been a characteristic of Alfa driving since
Of course.
time immemorial, how they say, yeah. for a
And,
long time.
and this is what we wanted to bring back on this car, which is nimble, agile, and as a consequence, it was very much speaking that kind of language.
By the way, you're speaking about agility and lightness in an electric car, and
Yeah.
that things don't go like much
Yeah,
hand
but,
in hand.
It's a very good point what you're saying, but also there we wanted to be very peculiar. In fact, if we compare the Junior to all of the premium competitors, we are 150 to 200 kilograms below anybody else in the market.
That's very
The
good.
car is 1.55 tons, and that is easily 200 kilograms below any average competitor. We did that specific choice, and so for instance, we installed a Torsen instead of a wheel drive additional engine to keep it light, because lightness is efficiency, is agility, ease of maneuverability, of course, and at the end, it is very true to what the Alfa Romeo spirit is. So you will hopefully enjoy the car while driving.
Yes, that's the end
Because
goal.
I just tested it last Friday in Balocco, in our proving ground. That's where we have done the whole development, and we are now finalizing. And I'm very, very happy about the result. The
So
car
the end
is
goal
really fun.
of this car, it will be to drive like all the other Alphas, even
Of
if
course.
it's an electric Alpha.
Of course, electric is just the way to move the engine, but of course the overall feeling is what we want to maintain, and that is fundamental for.
Yes, that's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. But of course, the details make the difference. One of the things that we developed specific, and again is specific for the platform, but also for the segment, is to get the space for the cable, what we call the Alfa Romeo cable organizer, into the trunk. Typically it's called the frunk. A very, very smart solution to have a space for the cable that is fitting exactly, again, where you would like it to be,
Yeah, that's
and
a
in a very easy
solution
way.
that helps in
Practical,
day-to-day
easy
life.
to use,
Yeah.
and of course you don't need to get everything dirty inside the car or inside the trunk, because you have it over there, and it's very easy to use. And details like, of course, beside all of the style that Alejandro is going through, we have some nice touch, like some memories of the past, reinterpreted again back to what means now Alfa Romeo and what will mean into the future, like the plug cover in aluminum that also was thought to be stored inside into the rear pocket door at the moment that you want to charge in a public place, so you don't need to get it lost. And it's again a small thing, but that shows like everything around the car was thought from the very beginning with the regular use that we want to do on this car. Because of course the idea is to have a fun experience, and you cannot have fun if everything doesn't go the right way from the moment zero to when you end. That was the, in a way, easy receipt.
Yeah, that's good. And I can understand this car from a solid base, a known platform, and you developed it according to the Alpha needs.
Of course.
Like working, like you said, with the small details, and especially what you did under the skin to make it drive better, lighter, certain parts changed, and so forth, bigger wheels. That's going to make for an interesting drive.
Oh, absolutely, that's for the drive, and that's also valid for the software. We have developed together with the engineering team dedicated HMI, of course, dedicated interface and commands to be consistent, so the famous Alfa Romeo DNA, the cannocchiale on the cluster, and like electric driver want and expect, everything is connected, so you can get easily a planned trip with the indication of where to go to recharge if you need to do that during your trip. And those again are those small things that make the difference and that we want to deliver to our customers in a pack that for the Speciale will include also the card, so that you don't have to worry to have to activate 1000 different apps to recharge, but with one app and one RFID you are 100% safe and covered.
This car has
all
a
around the
dedicated navigation system, right?
Yes, it's a dedicated
with
navigation.
predisposed points, or like it has registered all the 600,000 points of
Yes,
charging.
absolutely, and it is updated, because being connected, if there is some upgrade, some additionalities, something doesn't work, the navigation being connected support
So with the help
drive.
of AI, artificial intelligence, that's also integrated in this car.
Absolutely.
Does it mean that the system itself, the car itself, can take the hurdle out of planning a longer trip? Because let's also be honest, nowadays electric cars don't have the same range as diesel cars, right?
Of course.
You have to plan a few more stops along the way if you're taking a long trip.
In a category, actually, what we want to deliver is a category, similar category experience. At the end, with this kind of car, you typically drive 2 hours, let's say. And then you refuel or you arrive to destination, and that is what we want to deliver. And of course, to your point, the connected navigation is capable of getting that part so that you set where you want to go, and it suggests based on your preferences, if you have preferences of how long you want to stop, if you want to stop sooner or after, if you need at all to stop, of course. And it can help you plan and say, okay, I'm taking a coffee. Typically, if I'm making a stop and I take a coffee, it's a 10-minute break, and those 10 minutes are typically enough to cover well above 150 kilometers of travel. So depending on where you go, that is the real help a navigation embedded and integrated in the car can actually provide.
Again, a practical thing that will help drivers in their day-to-day life.
But of course, it's fundamental, and again, all of us are getting used to electric cars. Many are not maybe easy to use or to understand because are not with the right details and the right user experience. So that is where we want to get in and support, of course, the user.
Small car, big attitude, or it's maybe not that small?
Oh, it's the right size.
The right size.
Is what we car maker call a B segment, but at the end is the typical compact car for cities, out of cities driving. 4.2 meter length and 1.5 meter high, so it's not a very high car. The proportion wheel to body are very well balanced, and that's one other characteristic that is very important for us. What we wanted to privilege is the compact volume outside and of course the right roominess inside, front, rear and trunk, as we already said. All at the end to give the freedom of choice to the people, which is the same, by the way, on the engine. And that's why we developed electric and hybrid version. So we have 136 horsepower all-wheel drive hybrid for those markets where the all-wheel drive and the safety in all driving conditions, snow, half ice, wet leaves, are important. And that's how we developed the rear EDM for the all-wheel drive, to give that extra safety, extra brilliant speed at getting out of stuck situation. And of course then the electric with the 156 horsepower regular version and the Veloce, what we have here 240. We have opened now all of the range, let's say regular one, front wheel drive hybrid and Elettrica. The Veloce is also going to be open soon, in 1 month, and will be in the showrooms together with the rest starting from September, October timeframe, depending on the country. All-wheel drive will come beginning of next year in those showrooms. So within 6 months, the full range will be covered.
And all-wheel drive, or Q4 in Alfa language, is going to be by means of hybridization.
Yes, it's an electric motor in the back. Of course, it is giving some little extra power that we decided not to count into the engine as an additionality like others are doing, because it's not really what matters. And we decided to focus the working of that engine into the traction at the different capabilities, because that's what we felt on our test driving was the best choice for our customers to get and to be able to handle, and of course use the all-wheel drive capability when you want. So thank you again for coming, and thank you for your company and your passion.
Thank you for having us.
Grazie.
That's it.